Well, here we are. Welcome back to the DragBoss Garage for Friday Night Live. I can see there's a ton of people here already. I hope we're live and you guys can see it. Let us know. Sam Radin, hey, Tim and Rusty. It's good to see you guys.
What's up, Sam? There's Perry Ford. He's back.
Oh, yeah, there he is. There's my buddy from Australia.
69 Jenks, yep.
Yeah, he's got a nice blown Cleveland. Michael Thompson's here. Now this is interesting. You might remember this.
Yes, I saw that a few minutes ago, and I was like, yeah, I remember that car. That car, I don't remember what, I think it was at Darlington one year. That car, he beat us in the semis, and then I think Ricky in the finals, and he was running good that week. That car was always fast. Just Ricky or Roy just had bad luck with that car.
Okay.
When he was really fast with that car, except for the handful of races that he won with that car, I mean, he was fast with it everywhere. But that car just, I mean, he would have some bad. He'd get beat on a whole shot, or I think he red lighted once or twice. But that what was it? That was the budget rent-a-car.
Okay, yeah.
That car was bad. That was a bad boy right there.
I don't know if it's working. I see people talking. Is this working? I put down because I don't know. It says it is.
Hello, Perry. Yeah, Perry said hi. Gregorius.
Yep. I don't know what the deal is, though. I can't tell because.
John Chapman says it's working.
I need to hear. All right. I'll tell you, guys, we'll kind of get into this. My daughters want to say hi to everybody. They're here, and I got them hooked up so they can just join in and just say hi. So that's awesome. But I'll tell you, we were going to do this at 7 o'clock, and here's what happened. I got all ready, and I said, I know this stuff. That's nothing to it. I upgraded so that I could put different pictures up here. It's kind of cool. You'll see this stuff. I can change that. I can do some other stuff, and I'm working on that. But then when we went to go live or do a test run, then it was all black on his screen. I'm telling you, it was terrible. I was tripping. I'm telling you, it's worse than, coding somebody when they're dying. The stress was like, what? No way.
If you've got the time, we need to start doing it at like 8 o'clock so that West Coast can join in.
Exactly. Well, that's why I'm glad we're doing a little bit later, so to speak. But here's my daughter. They want to say hi, so I'm going to welcome them in. There you go.
Hi.
Hi, Izzy. Hi, Elena.
Hi, Elena. Hi, Izzy.
Hi.
Mom's doing something. What's that?
Mom's playing a card game with Elena.
Oh.
It's a Pokemon.
Okay.
Hi, Pokemon.
I don't know much more about that. But, yes, so Brian Baker says, yes, sir, budget car. There it is. Love it, man. Look, here's your buddy.
What's up, Scott?
Yep. Here's another buddy of mine, Greg. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for giving me that money in the super chat. Because I'll tell you, I'm trying to make this into something that's going to go into. I made it into a business because I want to make this into something that's you're not going to see anywhere else, with all kinds of guest stars, tech stuff, building stuff, engines, dynoing, all kinds of stuff. So that's my goal, anyways. You said that we may be able to hook up with Warren Johnson. I can't wait for that. That's a possibility.
I'm going to try.
Mike Ruth said the same thing. He might be able to make that work out, too. So there's lots of things changing. I just talked to a guy named David Cook. He owns David Cook Carbs. I think he's a super stock racer, but he builds carbs. And he's going to build those carbs back there. I got 4 1050s for these Pro Stock motors. We're going there next week. He's going to start building them. We're going to document the build on this channel. I'll show you the pictures before, take some pictures and give you some specs on them, and then he'll start working on them. So that's going to be on top. That's David Cook Carbs. Let's see, some other stuff we're talking about. The fact that everybody wants to talk about the Nitrous, and we can jump into that. I'm going to let you do that. I talk so much anyways. I'm going to kind of just sit back and listen because It's amazing, the stories, like everyone else says. I'm going to try to concentrate on these messages and kind of let you run the show, and we'll see how it goes. I know Dr. Ron had asked a question about.
Oh yeah, let me pull that question up. As a matter of fact,
and I have another question someone sent me, and I'm going to read it too.
Okay, Dr. Ron was asking about how much of the machine work that we did on all of our stuff. Pretty much everything. And it wasn't until 96 that we even started doing the CNC stuff. And that was the new wedge cylinder head that Dad designed. And believe it or not, a good friend, family friend of ours, and also a many-time world championship alcohol racer, Brad Anderson, was doing all of our CNC work.
Okay.
And actually, I believe he even did some small stuff on some of our Hemi stuff.
All right.
But as far as that, blocks, cylinder heads, rods, pistons, we made all of our own valve guides and valve seats.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Pistons, we had to cut valve notches and pistons, the domes. Then I think Billy would spend several hours on a box of pistons, just kind of polishing the insides. Just kind of, we did everything. Comp cams, we ran, oh my God, comp cams came in 95, I think, at the U.S. Nationals, or 94. And they took 3 completely full-size pickup trucks, 2-door. So you know how big the beds were on those.
Sure.
Full of cams that we ran through the years that didn't work. It's just so they could have the cores back.
Wow. Didn't you tell me, though, at one time that you had a motor that all you did is run the cam in or something? You changed the cam, like, what do you, yeah.
That was when we started the NASCAR stuff. When we started working on NASCAR stuff.
Okay.
They used the flat tappets.
Yeah.
They had this real thick grease lube that you put on the cam and the lifters because they're flat tappets. And then once you got it together and got valve lash set and all that, started it up, you run it at 2,500 RPM for an hour.
Okay.
Just kind of a high idle for an hour, and then the cam was broke in.
Nice.
That was when we did all the NASCAR stuff. Matter of fact, we built an engine frame on wheels, so I could roll it out the back door, and I could do cams all day long.
Really?
Yes, I do. I don't know, 4 or 5 cams, 3 or 4 or 5 cams a day whenever we had cams come in. But we didn't do a whole lot of that stuff, but I mean, we did enough before our time was over.
I see someone was talking, I think it was Perry Ford mentioned something about getting a set of T&D rocker arms for his build today. And check out these. I have these right here. These are ready for the 427 Cleveland. Steel, rockers, pin oilers, all the great stuff. So yeah, these are good parts. And I enjoy hearing that you guys made your own stuff. The tech that went involved. You know what I mean? It's amazing. How big was that garage?
Oh boy. Well, you couldn't get a race rig in it, but it had almost a half-court size basketball court in it, in the back where we kept the cars.
Yeah.
But, when it first started out, it wasn't as big as it is right now. And as Cat's Garage asked, yes, it is still as it was back in the day. We had ended up adding 2 rooms to it, or Dad ended up adding 2 rooms to it, a grinding room, which was did nothing but had all the valve seat grinding stuff, the cylinder head grinding bench, and then the flow bench stuff in that room. So all that stuff was done in there. Blocks and like our aluminum blocks, and then we did run in the end the cast iron blocks. all that grinding was done in, of course, the grinding room as well. And then the other one was the dyno room.
Okay.
And it's like I said, it's all still there. Billy still owns it.
Okay.
Like I said, he's just, all he's doing right now is tire testing for Mickey.
Did you guys have, like in the grinding room, did you have some kind of exhaust system for all the
Yes.
material, whatever, the fumes, the chips, the whatever's flying?
Yeah, it was, oh boy. Yeah, that was one of my jobs. It had a water holding tank.
Okay.
And about once every 2 or 3 months, I had to drain that tank, and I'd clean about 6 inches of sludge out of it. And
chocolate and strawberry.
That was not fun because it was big. I mean, I actually had to get inside it because I was so short. I couldn't reach down over the edge to clean it.
Okay.
So I put a big old pair of boots on and got inside it.
Wow. Here's one. And it's a tough question because you were young back then. You know, you were like 7, 8 years old when he was racing Cleveland's.
Yeah, that was, yeah. Dad really did like that, the Cleveland stuff. That was, if I remember right, I believe that was his favorite stuff that he ever ran, was the old Cleveland stuff. I mean, the Hemi stuff was not too far behind it because it was the Hemi stuff. The Cleveland stuff for the time was updated. The Hemi stuff was not. So I'd say he really liked the Cleveland stuff. The only thing he didn't like about the Cleveland stuff is the weight brakes. We used to get waxed on the weight brakes all the time. And it didn't matter. When 78, in 79, we went to Dodge, and after the first round of qualifying, they threw a bunch of weight on us. So, yeah, 69 Jags, Cleveland's forever.
That's it, baby. Been racing for 40 years, so.
My personal favorite's the Boss, 429. And then I'm a Cleveland guy right behind that.
I would love to have one in a.
So for me, the Boss is a little bit ahead of the Cleveland, but
oh yeah.
But still, my blood's Ford Blue, so don't get me wrong.
I'd love to have it doesn't have to be a Boss 429, but I'd like to make a clone with like a Kazi 429 in there, you know, run 940s and drive it on the street with air conditioning, you know.
That would be nice.
Here's what he says. Thanks, Rusty. So this guy, I'll tell you, let me put this up, and then you'll see kind of what we're going. So this is a big thread on Yellow Bullet. So you want to know about 351 Cleveland's. I mean, it's got like 3,000 pages of people bantering back and forth. I don't bother with it because I got too much going on. I don't have time for that. I'm a realist. So, but these guys are coming on because they all want to hear about the Nitrous story. He's got a good question that may be interesting. So let me put him back up there, and then you can kind of get the idea. Here's what it says.
The lifter bores, I don't remember him doing that. And I think the only changes he really did on the cylinder heads was he moved the ports, adding oh my gosh, epoxy. Oh Lord, epoxy upon epoxy upon epoxy on those things. And then they also put the flange plates on them to raise them up even higher. Tried it on the exhaust, but the exhaust didn't like it as much. But as far as the lifter bores, I don't really remember about the lifter bores. If I had to guess, or if I had to really think about it, I'm going to say no on the lifter bores and on the valve angles, as I think he kept all that stuff the same. I think.
I'll tell you what I know about the Clevelands in regards to that. You know, we all know that they put on the high port exhaust plates and raised it up to get that flow. because of the way it was made for the shock towers of the car. So we kind of know that. That's how they come up with that. Who came up with it? They really don't know, but it's someone in Ford. And actually the guy told me, sent me an email where he did the process at Ford in 1971 or something. At Ford in the engineering department. And Earl Wade gave him a blueprint. Now, as far as the valve angles, I've never seen him move the valve angles in the guides, although I have heard that before. Most I've seen him do is like angle mill the head to straighten it in line for flow, angle mill that.
Yes.
They would cut the decks down from 9.2 down 8.9. I got that from Steve Kenzel. Bring that thing down, shorten it. Shorten the runners on the intake. The problem with these intakes, the stock one is back there, is it's got way too much plenum. The plenum's too big and open. It needs to be streamlined and shortened to fill those ports efficiently at $9,000, 10 grand when the guys were going. The ports and the intakes, they ported them so high it would break through the roof. They would weld on top of it and then epoxy on top of that. I showed pictures of that before. But I don't know about moving the actual valve angle. I don't see why they couldn't, because look, Bob was welding the combustion chamber and started all over. So he could move that valve angle any way he wanted to, I suspect, but I don't know that for a fact.
I think that's part of the reason for the welding up the combustion chamber is to make the valve pocket area better. So, but here again, that was so long ago for me, I don't remember.
I'll show you what he did, okay? This was a regular Cleveland 4-barrel head combustion chamber if you've seen it, okay? This is what it looks like now. You see that? That doesn't look like a Cleveland combustion chamber, does it? You see how that was all been welded in by Darren Morgan and turned to a modern-day combustion chamber. That's what your father did. In 1975, I got pictures of it. Darren Morgan said by adding that combustion chamber, you had 25 foot-pounds of torque. That's why your dad's engines were faster than other people. He welded that in, and it was already using this combustion chamber in 1975, man. This is an A3 head. This is the same as a iron 4V with the exhaust plates, except for it's already got the incorporated exhaust ports. They're already raised. So
yeah, he left all that stuff, I think, standard. The exhaust, and the only thing he did with the intakes was raised them some.
Okay.
But mainly from the floor up, because you could only go so far on the roof side.
Right.
But
break up into that, and then you start weakening where the studs screw in to the rock pad. You start weakening that area, so you have to weld in there and reinforce it. Izzy, why don't you answer this question, and then we're going to kind of go back to just us two.
Pikachu.
There it is.
Heck.
Thank you for the donation. Now I'll tell you, all the money that I get from these Snapchats, I'm not sure how it works. Sometimes I'm on Uncle Tony's Garage and I give money. So we're putting it all back right into this channel, because this is how we're going to pay for all this stuff, is build this channel. So I appreciate the guys donating with the super chats. Thanks, guys. So say bye, Iz.
Bye.
Yes.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for being here, being a guest on the show.
Bye.
See you, Liz.
Love you. So let's see. Yeah. Because he ran him. He left the line at like 9,500, 10 grand. Let's see what else we got here.
Sorry, Tony. I really don't remember that one, to be truthfully honest with you. That's
yeah. Now, is Tony talking about the pro stock days, or is he talking about, more in the big block days? The Boss 429 stuff. Let us know and give us a back.
Yeah, let us know, Tony.
So this is the dude from Yellow Bullet. It's good to see you here. Thanks for supporting my channel, man. I just say how it is. I don't get into big drama, but appreciate you here.
Yes, P1, he did fill in the bottom of the intake ports on the small block stuff.
And then they were also, Yanks was talking about offset milling the head also. And what that means is they actually move the head more over on top of the combustion chamber by moving it on the deck. You know, that's the ingenuity of these pro stock guys like your dad. Now, we don't know that. We've never had one of his motors. I'm going to show you what it looks like apart, but we never dissected it. But those guys would go that far of moving the head and moving the combustion chamber over and centered better. I mean, it was crazy amount of work that they put into that stuff for what? You know, 3-4 horsepower. So
Yeah. Every little bit counts.
So pro stock days. So Tony, I can answer this question. We got time. I'll show you. Here's the carbs they ran in the pro stock days right here. Poly 6464. This is what they ran right here. These are off an actual pro stock motor. I got 4 of them. 2 I got from my friend Matt Adams, who just sent me a picture of his uncle's truck, a 34 Ford with a camera in it, which is a push truck for this 50 Merc with like huge horsepower. It's a bad car. I'll have to put a picture up. But I got the carb intake and heads from him. My other buddy, Blake Livingstone, with an E in Canada, got an original pro stock motor with an XC block. He still has that. He's got the heads. No intake, but he sent me the other carbs. Now those carbs have the little velocity stack on them. So these are the carbs they ran in pro stock right here. Yeah, Michael, you're close. I grew up in upstate New York, Oswego, New York, on Lake Ontario, and Baldwinsville, New York. So I spent a lot of years in those areas, but we moved all over. I grew up in the military, but yeah. That's funny. I didn't think I had an accent. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, the Ford Dominator carb, right. Now, I'm pretty sure, and you guys can correct me, the Dominator was a collaboration between Ford for the NASCAR effort, I think, and that's where they come up with the Dominator 1050 carb, but someone can click in. Here's one for you. Is that for me or you, Rusty?
Tim.
Okay. What's it say? You had discussed it with what split heads back a while back. Oh, yeah. So listen, I got to set a, you know, when you look at racing today, you got to say the poor guy out there is AMC. They were not one of the guys waving the banners in the winner's circle all the time, you know. And in pro stock, those guys, they what it took was Dick Maskin, right? Canners, right? Those boys put their heart and soul in that AMC, and those cars ran. You know, Wally Booth, those guys were killer, man. They didn't mess around. They had to work with what they had. Now you look at a Cleveland head. There ain't no way it's gonna AMC head's gonna compare with it stock. But what they did is they actually cut the head in half and added on to the head, I think, between the ports to make the ports taller and raise it by cutting that, transecting the head, then welding it all back together. I got some pictures of all this stuff. I mean, just think of the time that went involved with that. We're talking like your dad. You said he spent what? How long in the porting a set of heads? One chamber, one port.
From taking them out of the box from AR to ready to bolt on an engine to even put on the dyno to make dyno pulls was a minimum of 2 weeks. And we're talking 14, 16-hour days.
2 weeks, 14 to 16-hour days. That's more hours than I put in the ER for the most part a day, a shift.
P1.
What does he say?
I don't remember who came up with the split dominators. I think they started those in IHRA.
Yeah. I almost think Barry Grant. I remember he had them back in when I got hooked up, and that's 98, 97.
But the one thing that Dad did have, and they were done by Gary Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Williams carburetors. Is the rule book stated that you could run 2 4-barrels or 4 2-barrels. Well, Dad had Gary Williams, and it took him 9 months to make them. He said he'll never make another set. And these things were awesome. And we could place them, split, and then moved apart, placing them right over the runners.
Oh, yeah.
And they were better. And the rule book stated that we could use them. And we brought those out. We got to make one run on them before they banned them. And that was at Denver, because we were going to take them to the West Coast swing, and Dad really wanted to run them at sea level. But because we were so fast back then, I think this was 87 or 88, because it was with the T-Bird.
Yep.
We made the first qualifying run, and they tore the car apart, thinking, Dad was cheating. And then so it was basically just a simple deal. You unbolt the manifold top for the 2 4-barrels, lift them off, set the 4 2-barrels on, and bolt it back down. Point blank, plain simple. We made the second round of night qualifying that run at Denver, and we were way faster than anybody. And they didn't even have us go across the scales. They counted our run, but they didn't even have us cross the scales. They just made us take the hood scoop off. The tech guy did, and said, those are now illegal to use in pro stock. Take those off and don't ever run them again.
Wow.
So we got one run with them.
That's crazy. I remember him from Barry Grant, and 97 was when I was getting some good parts, and that's where I remember him from.
Brian Hobson, you're right.
What'd he say?
Whiteland is rusty. What is my daily driver? My daily driver is a 2018 Ford EcoSport, all-wheel drive, and I love it.
Nice.
You mentioned a collaboration with NASCAR. Did you work with Robert Yates anything back in the day?
Well, kind of.
Well, yeah, kind of. We started out working with Bill and his brother, Bill Elliott and his brother. And that didn't last long. And then we went from there to Jack Roush, and that really didn't last long. And then we ended up with the Stavola brothers and Jeff Bodine. And that lasted for about a half a season. And then when that deal went south, Dad got an offer from Robert Yates, and he wanted he'd send him a brand new set of cylinder heads, enough parts to do one motor, and he wanted us to do building one motor, and in return, his pay for that was going to be, it was either $10,000 or $15,000 and 3 sets of used cylinder heads. So of course that didn't go very far. That didn't go no farther than a phone call. So let's see. And then you got Cat's Garage. Yes, for the most part, yes, they were. They were severely involved in the aerodynamics of the cars. Yes. As far as motor stuff, not really that much, because Dad tried for years to get new cylinder head stuff and could never get it. And it ended up, the head that we ended up using in 96 in both cars from about the West Coast swing on, Dad actually paid for that cylinder head.
Really?
And that was his design. That was his baby. And like I said, by Indy, we just started getting a handle on it. Dad actually, first round, I believe, was the quickest car first round. It got beat on a hole shot by Jim Yates. And then we found out right after Indy that Ford was not going to do another 3-year contract with us. And it just kind of I think just Dad just kind of lost his drive because that was basically racing. His racing career was over.
Yeah.
And I mean, we still ran good at the races, the last few races, but just the drive wasn't really for none of us. The drive wasn't there for any of us because being told that late in the season was too late to do anything. You know, budget cuts and all that were already done, so it was not a happy time for us.
Now, what year was that? Give me a year now. What year?
96.
Okay. Now, he had his MI and when? His heart surgery.
December, I think it was December 27th of 94.
Okay. Okay.
Because he wasn't cleared to drive. So at the Super Bowl race, which is the weekend before the Winter Nationals, they run the Super Bowl race on Saturday so everybody can stay in the motel and watch the Super Bowl on Sunday. I actually drove his car at the Super Bowl race at Houston that year in 95 and won the race, and then drove his car again at the Winter Nationals. And when I left the Winter, I think I got beat second round. And when I left the Winter Nationals, I was 7th in points. And then Dad got clearance before Phoenix to go back into the driver's seat. And so he started driving again. But, yeah, that was December 94.
Now, I don't know if I told you this before, but I did cardiac surgery, open heart surgery for like 13 years, assisting and taking the vein and managing patients post-op. So I know what he went through, you know. How long was he out? 6 months, a year?
No. Well, his surgery was in December, at the end of December, and he was driving at the Phoenix race, which back then Phoenix was, which it still is now. It was the second race of the year back then.
Okay.
So by the second race, he was back. So he was out a month and a half, 2 months tops.
It takes about 6 weeks for the sternum to heal.
Yep.
They wire the sternum back. It takes about 6 weeks. If you can get by that and not dehiss and have it come apart, then you're golden, you know?
Yep.
Awesome. Let's see. Here's a good one for you.
Oh, boy. Well.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Pops. But I'm going to have to say the 1993, I think it was the Fram Autolite Nationals. I actually had to run Dad first round, and I beat him. That was the only time I ever beat him. Granted, he burnt the clutch up and had to let off, but he drove. I'll never forget this. He drove all the way down to the last turnoff, and got out of his car just to congratulate me on TV. And I ended up going to the semifinals. I beat Bruce Allen second round.
Yep.
And then I left on Frankie in the semis really bad. But when I put it in third gear, my steering wheel, the lock on my steering wheel broke and the steering wheel came off. And I actually went through third and fourth gear with my left hand on the steering shaft, steering the car. And then I realized I'm not going to be able to get the car stopped, so I had to let off. And then Frankie come around me. And then Ricky, matter of fact, Ricky won the race. Ricky Smith beat Frankie in the finals that race.
Oh, my God. Here's another. Let's see what this E460s. I'm not sure what he's asking there. Do you know?
He won. No, I don't.
Okay.
Thanks, Chad.
Yep. Thanks, Chad.
Hey, that's one thing. That is one thing, Dad, if he was still alive, and I'll tell you for him, our fans, whether they were Ford fans or not, our fans were and still are the greatest ever.
Always. Yeah.
He was actually, what was it? It was, if you'll remember when Bill Elliott won the Winston Million, he won three of the four super speedways.
Yeah, I remember.
After this is no joke, after his third win, which was the last super speedway race, which I think was the second Talladega race, they sent the cylinder heads off that engine to our shop, and Dad unboxed them and kind of pissed Ernie Elliott off because he really thought they were messing with him. He said, "There's no way you guys ran that fast with these heads," because they were way far behind in technology. I mean, we just did stuff with that NASCAR stuff when we worked on it. We never did any cylinder head work, period. And cylinder heads pretty much never came off. Well, all we did was camshaft, manifold, and carburetor, and spark plugs, and just doing that stuff. I mean, they uncork champagne bottles on a restrictor plate motor when they find 5 horsepower. And the first restrictor plate motor we worked on for Jack Roush, because that's the first thing we worked on for him, we found almost 30 average. Because 5 horsepower in one of those deals is a mile an hour.
Yeah.
So, it was just, a tough deal.
So this is what this guy was asking. Fish stick. Fish stick. I love it.
I don't remember what they were called, to be truthfully honest with you.
He's asking if they're the E460s.
They were new. Actually, we were ready to go to the Winter Nationals a week before the race. Actually 8 days. And we had everything sitting there in boxes, cylinder heads and all, to do our first motor with the cylinder heads Dad design. Actually, cylinder head and block. Well, the block was just a few changes, but the cylinder head Dad design. And if that was the 460, then that's what it was, but I don't remember. And in 5 days, we had that thing on the dyno, and we warmed it up, checked valve lash, cooled it back down a little bit, and then when Dad started it up, we were all standing at the dyno console, and when Dad started it up, he said, "If this thing's within 20 of our best Hemi, that's a good start." And the first pull, it was 18 average better than our best Hemi.
Wow. And
the only thing was, we put that in Billy's car, and at Houston, about the Super Bowl race, about the third run, and the block was supposed to have been sonic checked, outsourced, and it blew about a pop can size hole in one of the cylinder walls because it was about as thick as a pop can, and it liquid locked it. And thank God Billy didn't crash.
Wow.
Yeah, it liquid locked it at about 1,100 feet, and Billy caught it in time and pushed the clutch in and ride it out to make the turn off. But yeah, it liquid locked it.
I want to give a good shout out to my wife, who's probably watching now. She was going to get involved with that, but she's got some other stuff going on. So Andrea, I just want to say hi. We miss you here. We want to see you on the next episode, right, Rusty?
Yes.
And I love you, baby.
I hope my wife's watching, so I'm going to say hi to her too.
Hi, Teresa. Now here's another example. I appreciate that, MT Ram 426. Thank you.
We got one question I do want to answer.
Sure.
Cat's Garage.
Let me find it here.
My dad or I never made it into the 6-second club, but Billy did. Yes, he was in the first, 16 members, I believe, into the 6-second club. But Dad never made it, and I never made it. The closest I came before that field was filled was, I believe, I think I went in 01 or 02 in 95 at Gainesville. And Dad had run, I think, in 04, 05. But that's about where that's at. So,
Thank you.
Oh, Jerry, I wish there was. Maybe in the future I will, because I've actually got people that have some of his old shirts that I can copy from, because that's what I would do, is just duplicate them. But maybe in the future, yes.
You know what? That brings up a great idea, because I need a T-shirt made. Now I've got an idea. Okay, better write that one down.
Yes, an engine ain't nothing but an air pump. And then we got Michael Thompson asks a good one. What was the engine stand thing all about? No, Dad would not. No, that had nothing to do with anything. Dad, back in the day, thought that engine stands would take the back two cylinders and make them out around. And he didn't like the fact of a man up there that high off the ground. And that way doing valve lash and all the stuff that he did, he could sit on his little roller cart and had all of these tools that he needed, putting an engine together right there on his little roller cart. And he could just go from one side to the other doing stuff.
I'll show you a picture of that on one of my next videos of that cart. I got pictures of it with the motor on it.
Who wants to ask you want to ask the first original question to what the subject is going to be about?
You're welcome, Teresa. My pleasure.
Thanks, Teresa.
This is going to be, this ain't going to be just a fly-by-night show. We're going to build this into something that's going to be huge, man. I got a good feeling about this. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Everybody's wanting to know about
the T-shirts we're talking about. He's talking about that.
Yeah, but everybody wants to know about the nitrous.
I don't know if they're ready yet, are they?
Do what?
I don't know if they're ready yet for the nitrous, are they?
I don't know. Let's just see if we can
get. What do we have here? Thanks,
Cat Garage.
Right there, baby. We'll get something going. We got a lot of plans going on. So
69 Jenks. As the small blocks, yes. You are definitely right about that. They are some really good air pumps.
Tony says we're ready. Tony Lehman, we're ready to hear about nitrous, I guess. We've been on for only 43 minutes. Here's one. Here's a good one for you.
I didn't know about that one.
The only thing I can tell you is that in the NHRA Pro Stock era of the mid-'70s, those Clevelands were running about 12-5 to 1. I got pictures of one of your dad's motors inside of the pistons, and they don't look the dome's not that huge. But we don't know how much the block was cut or the head was cut, how tight that quench was. Who knows? He could be running 20 thousandths of quench. We don't know. So I can't tell you when they went to 14 to 1.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Yeah, I already got that under control, Chad. I got an idea already.
Okay, Perry. There was speculation for years. All right, JK Navy. All right.
We'll take care of it.
That there was nitrous being used. And if you know anything about pro stock, you definitely didn't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. And like I said, the only one I'm going to talk about is myself.
So there was other people that were running it, you're saying?
Yes. And I did it. And one thing a lot of you got to keep in mind is the years that I did it and that it was being done by others, that was a big gray area in the rule book. It didn't state that you could use it, but it didn't state that you couldn't. And so was it cheating?
That's Smokey Eunuch.
Yeah. I did it to prove to my dad, and there was one other team that knew about it, that it was in my car. And here again, I'm not going to mention that team's name, because they both were like, no way. There's no way you can do it and get away with it. And it was probably I think it was my second race with it, Topeka and then Dallas, I believe. Yeah, Dallas. I almost got caught with it, but the tech guy, it didn't dawn on him, because after qualifying that Dallas race, yeah, I've got a lot of people asking for the 79 Arrow too. But and I've got one, my uncle has one of those, so I can copy that one. But yeah, the Dallas race that year was a 2-weekend event. The first weekend, it was nice weather. The second weekend, but it rained the Saturday and Sunday, so it got rained out. So we came back the next weekend. And the next weekend, it was hot, humid. I do believe I was the only car that got in on the second weekend, and I didn't get in the third session because we only had 2 qualifying runs on that Friday, and then race day was Saturday. But I did get in on the last session, and I went from 23rd to 8th. So of course they tore my car apart. And here it is, 90 degrees out. When you put your hand on the weight bar and it's freezing cold, there's no frost on it, but it's ice cold, you know, and he didn't catch it when he put his hands on it. So it was proven right then and there, because those 2 other drivers that knew, which one of them was my dad, and they saw me get pulled over, and I mean, they tore my front end doors, dash, all the tunnel out, rear bumper off, deck lid off. I mean, they checked it from top to bottom, front to back. And
let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
So you said that you ran it for years. I heard you say years, unless you misspoke, for one. And
no.
2, your dad knew that you were running it the day you were running it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he didn't think it was possible. He didn't think that anyone would stoop to that level to have already been doing it. And I can tell you this much, not by me. I did it for like 2 or 3 races in 94, and I think 2 or 3 races in 95, and then I was done. That's it. And but it actually, by another team, had started in 1989 in Gainesville, Florida. So, and then there was another team that I don't remember the year. I think maybe it was 95, not 96, or maybe even been 97, that got caught with it and had their stuff confiscated at the Spring Nationals in Columbus. And everybody knows who that is.
Is that when the oil tank blew up
Yes. And,
from the pressure?
well, you don't, when you got something that's going to ignite when it gets to a certain degrees, you don't plug the oil heater in, but it happened. But anyway, I did it to prove a point, and I proved my point. And then from there, the point was proven. I mean, even a few times more from when, with a naturally aspirated car, you can't go from, like from one race, for example, if it was 1500 corrected altitude,
Yeah.
and run, middle high 7.0s at 195.50 to 195.80, and load your stuff up and go to the next race the next weekend in 3,200 feet worse air. So now you're at 4,700 corrected altitude and run quicker. And this team did. And then you go to Denver and you got 1,400ths between yourself and number 2 qualifier. I'm sorry. That's the most we ever had at Denver. Denver, I think, was the one pass with the 4 2-barrels, and that was, I think, we won a. What did we go? We won a. I think we won an 87, and the next closest was a 94. So, I mean, but that was taken away from us, and then we were right back to being, 100th or 2 or maybe 300ths quicker than everybody with our 2 4-barrels. So
I'll answer that quick. I'll just show them. So listen, that Pro Stock motor, here's the piston for it. So this is a BRC 61, original Pro Stock piston from 75 or 76. So with this, I'd probably be around 12, just depends on the combustion chamber size and what I have, all the rest of the parameters. But I bet you it's going to be about 12.5, somewhere in there. So thanks, Chad.
Well, 69 Jenks, just so you'll know. Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, yes, Dad did. Dad and I both showed him exactly where I hid mine at. But anyway, 69 Jenks, yes. 1995 at Memphis is when everybody was handed a revision sheet for the rule book that stated the use of nitrous oxide in NHRA Pro Stock from this point forward is illegal. So, no, I did that myself at the U.S. Nationals.
Your dad never told you to do it?
No, I did that myself. They were, I got greedy with it, and I wanted to continue running it. And Dad and I got in an argument. I actually quit working for him for about 6 months. And I went back to work for him right after Indy that year. But at Indy, I went there for one reason and one reason only. And there was a sanctioning body that was telling my dad that he was nuts and he was psycho and crazy and that he should just retire and quit racing because nitrous oxide this and nitrous oxide that was not being used and NHRA and blah, 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 blah. So I actually got to, I got to Indy, and I just happened to catch Linda Vaughn. And before she was going into that big gated area to get into the tower at Indy. And I said, hey, everybody called her Aunt Linda. I said, hey, Aunt Linda, I need to get into the press suite. Can you take me up there? So she's, sure. So I went into the press suite and I got everybody's attention. I said, if you want the true story, I'll be at my dad's trailer in 30 minutes. And sure enough, it was exposed right then and there that I did it. I have no, I didn't do it to go out and win races and championships. I did it to prove that it could be done. And I proved my point. And granted, I wanted to go on, but I didn't. And it just, it was just, I mean, there's none of that stuff is going on now, and none of that stuff went on after the Nitrous explosion at the Spring Nationals that year. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, they had the state police confiscate that rig as it was trying to get away from the racetrack. That was Friday, I believe. It was either Friday or Saturday. Wasn't even on race day.
Yeah. We know about this, huh?
Yeah. And yeah, that was another deal. I mean, somebody broke in and, destroyed their engines.
Yeah, what did they smash? Just the
blocks, intakes, and heads.
Yep.
And here again, everybody knows that if someone would have did that to Warren Johnson or Larry Morgan or Bob Glidden, in 2 weeks they'd have been out. They may have missed a race or maybe two, but when they'd have been back out, they'd have been as fast, if not faster, than they were with brand new stuff. And this team came out exactly 1 year later. So, I mean, but like I said, hey, I did it to prove a point, and I thank my dad for keeping me grounded, because, like I said, I wanted to go farther, but Dad, I mean, it upset me. That's why I quit working for him. But the thing that brought me back was, Dad was right, and then I wasn't going to let Dad be talked to the way, or talked about, or being the comments made about my father that was being made about him. So, I mean,
here's what I think I want people. It's hard to type and answer questions, but I think people are wondering this too. One, how much did you pick up with that? How much were you using? How much did you pick up? And then 3, let's talk about where it was hidden and how you did a rifle drill through this, whatever, you know what I'm talking about.
In that old probe, I think it was the
94?
91 probe that I used, 91, 92 probe that I used.
Okay.
In that car, the weight bar in the back of the car was a 2-inch by 3-inch, 90 thou wall, 4 foot long. To make the weight how Dad wanted in the car, it had to be completely full of lead shot. So it just worked out that my holding tank was all but 4 inches of that weight bar. But I had cut it off, and my holding tank was a 2-inch by 3-inch, 1/4-inch wall, so it could hold 1,100 pound of pressure. And the last 4 inches was still had the big knob cap, so you could fill it, with lead or take lead out. And that little bit still was full of lead to make it. I mean, it was within 0.3 of a pound of what it needed to weigh, because the weight of the tube was thicker. And it went from there through the main frame rail in brake line. Then it butted up with the engine plate, and then we rifle drilled the engine plate, and it ran up. And then everybody knows we had our hood scoops always held on with the things in the center of the carburetors.
Sure.
If you look, mine wasn't then. Mine had the 2 rods in back and the 2 rods in front, and it ran up 1 rod and then went up halfway around on one side around the snorkel, and then went up the top front of it. It went back right over the center of the carburetors. And then I had a, what was it? It was an 1/8 inch hole, because back then the fiberglass, it was black. So if I just drilled a hole in there and then paint the brake line black, you couldn't tell. I mean, they looked at it and didn't see it. And then where it connected to the, where that down rod connected to the engine plate, that is where I had it jetted at. So if we needed to change jetting, I could jet it right there. I mean, I had a little jet plate that I made. On the dyno with what was it? I believe it was a 20,000s jet. We had a motor that was, I don't know, it was probably 50, 60, 70 off like our second or third best Hemi piece, with a 20,000s jet on the dyno with the hood scoop on it, which makes it even worse. With a 20,000s jet feeding the whole engine, that thing was about 30 or 40 better. And not to even run with the fast car. The most I ever went was I think a 45 or 50 thou jet.
Okay.
And I could go up because 3/16 brake line's got an 1/8 inch is what the center is, 1/8 inch. I could have gone up to 125 thousandths. And for me to be not number one qualifier, but to go from either not qualifying to 4th, 5th, 6th, I had to run a 45 thousandths jet. Oh, I could have run with that setup, Andy, if I'd have had a 8,000, or if I'd have had an 1/8 inch 125 jet in it, I could have run probably, oh God, I probably could have run 680s, low 680s, 205 with it. And the record back then was, I think, in those years was in the 90s, 690. So yeah, I could have obliterated the record. I mean, it's how many years did the 749 last at Denver? So I mean, it's just yes, it was.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yes.
Yes, it was originally built for the small blocks, but they went in between those years is when they switched the rule change from 500 or from 358 to 500. What was that again? Well, actually the 429 Boss, the biggest problem with it is you couldn't get a lot of compression out of it, simply because of the way the valves were both angled. Granted, they flowed a lot of air, but the one thing that killed us was the compression. I mean, Dad narrowed up the combustion chamber and kept the flow really good, and then we added to the pistons and we got a little more combustion. But you could not get a lot. I mean, like the GMs back then at that point were, I think they were 14 or 15, if not more. And I think the most we ever got was out of the Boss was just under 12. And I mean, so yeah, I mean, the thing with the Hemi though, it started peaking at about 88, 87, 8,800, and it didn't stop when Dad, when we only turned them 95, 9,600 on the track, and on the dyno, they were still peaking. So, I mean, if we'd have turned those things back then, well, first of all, if we'd have turned those things back then, 10, 5, 11 grand, yeah, we probably would have run a lot quicker, but we'd have broke a lot more parts, because the one bad thing with the Boss 429 Hemi is the exhaust rocker.
Oh, yeah.
Was about that long, and we broke those things all the time.
Like what? After like 3 runs, you break them? You just change them out?
Every race, if we use the same engine in one race, 4 qualifying runs, 4 elimination runs or less, we would end up breaking a minimum of probably 2 or 3 a race of the exhaust rocker.
Wow.
I mean, that was another one of the deals. It was either Billy or myself. You take a magnifying glass and a mirror after Dad got done checking valve lash. You'd open each one of the exhaust valves all the way up, and then you check where we knew that they would break, and you check them. If they had a crack, put a new one on. Oh yeah, we kept loads of that stuff in the trailer. We kept loads of rocker arms, lifters, and then a whole bunch of heli coils for when we pull them. If they broke just right, they'd pull the threads out of the rocker stands on the intake side.
So you have to fix them right there in the trailer.
Yeah, because one of them only had about a 1/4 inch of thread because it went right in. It went right into the center of the intake port. So.
Well, here's another question. This is interesting. I don't think so. I don't know. Who knows back then what people ran?
The only thing I know that we ever ran, which everybody was running it, was that, oh, dang it. It was some stuff that you had to be suited up to mix it with your fuel. And then if you stood behind the car with it running at an idle or in the dyno room, it would bring tears to your eyes. It was dioxane. And that's the stuff that actually caused Agent Orange in the war, was dioxane. Really? Yeah, it had a 30, what was it, a 32 or 33 degrees flash or freeze point, and then a 34 degrees flash point.
Yeah, my dad was in Vietnam. He was a medic in Vietnam, 70 to 72, and he was there for Agent Orange. That's what he died from, cancer from Agent Orange.
Wow.
But he would tell me the stories, man. They would just go in there and just spray that stuff and defoliage. It was crazy. Walking through that stuff, breathing it. They didn't have masks or anything back then. They were worried about dying. And, yeah, so that stuff's pretty nasty, it sounds like.
Yes.
Now, what's Colt? You mean the Arrow? I think he's saying the Plymouth Arrow.
No, that's the car like Butch Leo ran, the little bitty. Matter of fact, somebody's got a tribute car to Leo's Colt.
Right. Okay.
In one of the nostalgia series. I don't know. He never ran it.
I think that's what he's saying. Plymouth Arrow.
Oh yeah, he loved it. I loved it. I mean, if Chrysler hadn't claimed bankruptcy at the end of the 79 season, that's probably who he would have finished out his race career with, because they were the first ones to give him a really good sponsorship deal. And it was supposed to be a multi-year deal, but here again, the end of 79's when, what was he, Iacocca or whatever, claimed bankruptcy. Yeah. And so that ended all sponsorship deals. Matter of fact, that took them out of a lot of racing for years.
I'll tell you who I talked to. What is today? Friday, so it'd be yesterday. I talked to Joe Pappas. Joe Pappas was on the original Don Carlton Mopar Missile team, the pro stock team from Plymouth, Chrysler. All the Hemi stuff, the big block cars from 70 to 74. So I can't wait to hear his stories and kind of compare them.
Scott, what do you want to know about the wedge head? That's I don't understand. I mean, we didn't run that, but the good one, really, the 1996 season, but that was really our last season, and it was really good, but it just no, Dad never had. Actually, Dad got for years. Part of Dad's contract that Ford added was he got to use a loaner car. And his favorite car was, it looked like a big football. It was one of the Lincoln cars. It looked like a big football that you cut the bottom half off and put wheels and tires on. But he loved it. It was a big old boat. Lincoln, what was it? It was the Lincoln Town Car, maybe. And then his next favorite one was the Crown Vic.
Just a little FYI, I guess.
How many cars? That was one thing Dad really didn't like to mess with. The biggest thing with the carburetors is when he had that rack, that destroyed our best carburetors. And it was, I'm going to guess, to get another set of carburetors that made power and ran down the track like those, it probably wasn't until the winter of 86, in between 86 and 87 season, that we got another set from Gary Williams. That there was just, you'll get these weird deals where you'll just have one set like that just are better than everything else.
It's true.
And go down the track better. But before we got another set, it was probably the end of the 86 season. I mean, so we ended up the 86 season winning the championship and still, running fast with a set of old carbs. But he really never did much. I mean, he was kind of turned off on some of that stuff, like when we tried doing the 4 2-barrels, and then it makes one run and they ban him. I mean, that kind of went right back to your 79, where you make one qualifying run with a Plymouth after you got away from the Ford, and then they go and throw a bunch of weight on you. And then 1980, by the second or third race, they got a whole bunch more weight on you again. So, I mean, it's just. Oh God, what year was that? That would have been 84. Because 82, 84, I believe, is when we started making manifolds. 83, 84 is when we started making our own manifolds.
Now, I can tell you, I got pictures of the 80 Fairmont, and that thing ran a D-stroke Cleveland. Now, I'll tell you, he was running a sheet metal tunnel ram on that thing. I have a picture of it sitting by the side of the trailer coming out.
I don't.
If you look at that intake, I can see the runners. They're rectangular. That's a tunnel ram. I can show you. So
I don't know where he got that. That was before. Some of that stuff I don't remember.
Right.
Because it wasn't until really, probably 84, 83, 84 that I really, after the steel braided line thing, that I really got into paying attention to what I was doing at the shop. We started making our 500-inch stuff probably 83, 84. And it was just simply due to the fact that we had gone with everything else. We'd gone to what Dad thought we couldn't go anymore. So to go from what he would call store-bought stuff to making our own, which that's when we started making our own. And I mean, I used to bend the runner. He made an arbor, and he would show me where to bend the runners at. I had a little manila folder cut out that I cut. I'd always do 10, kind of like valves and pistons. They always do 10, 2 extra. And I'd always do 10 runners in case I messed up on 1 or 2. And then I'd actually would clamp those to the welding table, take a rosebud, heat them up, and with gloves and a 2x4, bend them around the arbor, clamp them, spin it around, bend it around, and then cool it off, and then put it back on the arbor, heat it up, get it back down to where it goes, cut it, and then heat it up some more, and then take a 4x4 and close the gap. Because you take a 35 thou high-speed cutter wheel and cut it, and then all you'd have to do is just squeeze it together, and then he'd come in and tack them, and then once he'd tack them and weld them, then I'd have to put them back on the arbor and take a hammer and a 2x4 and knock them back down to where they were all the same size. What was the first stop made from a real body and the first panel on the scratch-built chassis car? I don't understand the question. I don't understand that question.
I guess what he's saying is, you know, they went to chassis cars. I'm not sure when, because I know some of the latter Pro Stock cars, 77, 78, I think some of them had chassis on them. People are asking me what suspension they have. 4-link, you know, versus ladder bar. I see a lot of ladder bar stuff. I suspect there's some 4-link stuff going on. I don't know, but I think it was more ladder bar. But the body in white, that's a good question. I don't know. We'll find out.
Michael Thompson, I don't know about that one. That's a good question. I don't know about that one.
This here, right here, right?
Yes.
Now, they all, I don't know them running any of that deck height. All Cleveland stuff, but always ran a 327, 343, 340, all that D-stroke stuff, which is, you know, 3/2/5, 3 1/4 strength, stroke crank, that kind of stuff. 3/400 stuff. We appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, Dean Stevenson, yeah. That was after the first qualifying run. He knows. 75 pounds after the first qualifying run. Still went out and set both ends of the record. It depends on...
What car?
Yeah, what car? I mean, in the early days, it was the Rams. And then...
McLeod. He ran that in the early 70s, 74, 5.
And then, in the 500-inch stuff, it ended up, I don't remember what we started out using, but we ended up using the, applied ATF or AFT. I think it was AFT, Applied Friction Technology or something like that. Which that's pretty much what everybody was using. What was that one again?
Another giving us a thank you.
Oh. Well, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but thank you.
Spino Mick.
Spino Mick.
It's from down under. There's a bunch of people here.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, and I welcome all the people from down under, Australia.
Yes.
Remember that left here in 74 and went to Australia where it was used up until the 80s sometime. They used the Cleveland. So,
really?
Let's see, what else do we have here? Yes. Yes, I am, Greg. I don't deal a lot. I work in an ER, so I see all the heart attacks, strokes, crazy stuff. I mean, it's hard to say. I can't talk about it because of HIPAA. A lot of things you can't talk about. But I'll tell you, I thought about doing an aside video if people are interested on it, just for an aside, on health, you know, back pain, the basics on stuff, just to give you some insight. We won't keep going there. We want to stick with you, Rusty.
Oh boy, some of the old ones, yeah. The Yule brothers.
Yep.
The Scribner brothers. Because if you remember, Tom, Dick, and Harry Scribner, they won the inaugural California Nationals. That was their home track. Matter of fact, I've got a bottle of wine sitting back there. Hold on, let me get it.
Well, he's getting that. I'll tell you, I talked to Mike Ruth. He's from the Midwest Pro Stock Association. He's going to hook me up, hopefully, with Larry Lombardo. Do you guys remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to, hopefully I can get him on here and do the same thing. You know, your dad raced him quite a few times, so cool stuff.
Yeah, this was actually given to my family by the Scribners. And I don't know what happened to the top, but this has never been opened. And if you can see, it's got Bob and family on the 49th victory, on Dad's 49th win. And
1978.
yep. That's the year the wine is, but this was from the Scribners, Tom, Dick, and Harry. And God, the 49th win was because the 50th one was, so it had to have been in 86 because the 50th one was in Dallas in 86.
Yep.
And that's where Warren red lighted in the finals. And Dad thought he broke a motor, but it ended up a piece of silicone. The oil pump had a pressure spring, and a piece of silicone that got loose got up under that pressure spring and opened it up. And in other words,
Pressure relief spring. Yeah.
it didn't flood it with oil, but it took the pressure to more than what it was supposed to have. And the oil light came on, so he shut it off because he went like a 838 or 848 or something like that, because we just thought he saw the wind light and let off, but no, we got down there and he said no, and then we were freaking because that was our best motor, and we got back to the shop and took it apart and then didn't find anything wrong with it, and then we took the oil pump pressure spring out and saw, I mean, it was just a little chunk of silicone got in there, just enough dried silicone, just enough to open it up and cause the pressure to be too much for the oil light to come on. Yeah, Vince and his two boys. Yep. Oh, Vince Corey. That's a good, really good family right there. Good racers. Matter of fact, I think his son won the championship in one of the classes last year.
Yes. Lenko was used in all the early years of pro stock.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you, if we build that car, let's say we build this Fairmont, I got an offer, and Brad Witt, if you're watching this, I'm thinking about coming to Illinois to get that car. So let's say we got this Fairmont. We built it into like the 78 car like I want to. Can you imagine putting a Cleveland in there, a Lenko, and us driving it?
Oh, man.
Man, this could be a trip. So
you'd have a blast with that thing.
Oh, yeah. They never really sold any of their stuff for the most part until after the fact.
No, all of Dad's Cleveland stuff, he sold it after they switched, and I think it was probably a year or two, and then somebody bought it, and it was kind of like the Chrysler stuff. They went and broke it all because they didn't know how to drive, and brought it back. And Dad repaired all of it, got it all fixed, all brand new. I think there was 4 motors. I think it was 4 motors complete. And then they sat in our shop for years. And as a matter of fact, they came out with a, who was it? I think NHRA came out with a junior pro stock that had it was the old days, but newer bodies. It was the old day rules: 358 max cubic inches, 4-speed trannies. I mean, that was just a old days, and that was, I think, late 80s, early 90s. And I actually had a guy that was wanting to do a car with me and have me drive it, and I was going to use those engines, but Dad called the guy. I mean, they set at our shop in the storage room for years, and Dad called the guy and he came and got him. So, but oh well.
See. Yeah, I remember the Yule Brothers Camaro. Yeah, yellow,
Yeah.
white. I mean, that was a bad car, man.
No, they were a good team. It's just like the Maskins, like you were talking about the Maskins and Manarino, and the Wally Booth.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys. None of those guys were to be. You did think twice about taking them serious.
Yeah, he's talking about Sega, Southeastern Gassers Association. Now they're running kind of what the old Pro Stockers were: tunnel ram, 2.4s, and a stick. Man, and I got that 40 Ford Coupe sitting over here. And next week I'm going to pick up, if everything works out, I'm going to be picking up the frame and the tires and all the rest of the stuff. That'd be another cool car to put a stick in, a tunnel ram and 2.4s. So yeah.
Go to that Thomas.
Thomas? That one?
No, two more. Three more up. Yep, Thomas. I don't really know what he's talking about.
I know it's different time. Meaning
different time. Well, don't get me wrong. Greg's obviously good. Eric, but believe it or not, a lot of people don't know this. Eric was my dad's favorite driver from the 2010 on. That was Dad's favorite driver. But don't get me wrong. Don't take anything away from any of them. Greg, Warren, Eric, and none of them. Jay. Dad's still got. I think it'll be a while. I think it'll be a while before one of Dad's records will be beat. I think. But one of them I don't think will. And the one record that I think will, the one person actually that I think has the best shot at doing it is Erica. And that's the 10-time champion. The one I don't, with as close as these guys are nowadays, I don't foresee anybody beating this other record, and that's the number one qualifier, 23 races in a row. That still stands, and that was from, I think, the 86, 87 or 87, 88 seasons. And I don't think. Welcome, yep, Ronnie. Yep.
Ronnie Kirkpatrick, yep.
Yep. Well, he really never disliked any of them. I know him and Lee Shepard talked a lot. Him and Jenkins really talked a lot. I do know that. Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say it was probably Jenkins. If I had to say, it was probably Jenkins.
I'll tell you a story that I heard on the internet, on YouTube or something, about your dad when he brought the 78 Fairmont out. I think it was his first race. I forgot where it was, but he was racing against Grumpy. And Grumpy was giving him a lot of lip all day, telling him that thing's an ugly square box. It ain't going to go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. So Bob says that he took off. He got him, treated him down through the light or the track. He was blasting by him. He said he got to 1,000 foot, just let off the gas and pulled the chute. Blew right by him, let off at the 1,000.
Unfortunately, yeah, since he's going to be on your show, he used to do that to Lombardo a lot too, and he didn't like it.
Oh, well, we'll see. Larry will tell us about it. I mean,
he hated that.
Really? Okay.
Oh, dude. I mean, it was bad.
What's up, John? Good to see you. I don't know where Andy is. He should be on here. Andy from Uni Motorsports Garage. Oops, sorry, brother.
I'm going to still have to say well, there's really two. The Clevelands, no other Fords ran like Dad. And then with the Hemi, nobody ever made a Hemi run like Dad. I mean, nobody. I mean, only one other car won in a Hemi, and that was Frankie. And that was at the 80, what was it, 87 or what? I don't remember what year that was. He was the part of the Budweiser team. But that's the only race he did good at. So, I mean, it was really the small blocks and the Hemis, the Clevelands and the Hemis that Dad was out on everybody on. Cleveland's with pretty much everybody. And then the Hemis for until, you know, the early 90s was still heads and shoulders above everybody.
Thank you for the donation. Super chat there. Thank you, Greg. I don't know. You know, I'd probably, if I was going to paint it, I want it to be just like the 78 car with the red stripes and all that. Although I do like the stars and stripes, but I would probably keep it like that. Thank you for taking care of Izzy.
Yeah, that was awesome, by the way. The shutdown area.
The steering wheel coming off.
Not that I can really remember. Well, there is a track somewhere, and it was with the Pinto, and I do not remember what the track was. But if you went off the track, the actual asphalt, you had about 50 feet, and then there was about a 100-foot drop-off, a 50-foot drop-off. And 10 feet before that drop-off, they had a set of cones going across that if you broke that, they had those yellow flasher lights that would go off. And Dad stopped the car right in those beams and set those off one time.
Wow.
And then other than that, I know Warren's had some strange happenings in the shutdown areas before. I think he's actually had a couple of small crashes. But as far as Dad or myself, no, I don't. Other than the 86 Atlanta.
I can tell you my own personal experience racing. I think I was running,
Go ahead.
1030s, and I made a first pass with a car that my Cougar, I never made a pass, and the damn throttle stuck after I went through the lights, and I'm trying to put the brakes on to stop it, and couldn't slow the car down, and this is at National Trail, and pretty soon I shut the key off, high dog, and I put on the brakes trying to stop, and I ended up going right into the sand traps.
Oh, yeah.
But
until they lengthened that and put the shut off for that road.
Yeah.
A lot of people went off there into the sand trap. Woodburn, good place.
You're welcome. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome.
Now that's your dog. What's that? A Chihuahua?
Yeah, that's Minnie. She's one of our rescues. This is little Minnie.
My wife was telling me today, we were talking about getting a dog for the kids. Hopefully they're not listening to this because, I don't know. There's a lot of responsibility. I'm trying to teach my kids responsibility, sorry. But she was talking about getting a parrot. And she goes, didn't Bob Glidden have a parrot? And I said, well, it's Billy that had it. But I don't know if Bob had one or not. But I know Billy did or does.
Dad built a building that was 75 by 100 with a 50 or 60 foot ceiling because he at one point had 23
parrots. Are you crazy? What?
No.
I never heard that.
Oh yeah, at one time he had 23.
Like the macaw or whatever, those colorful.
Yes. Yeah. Had one of them, Boogie. He had over an 8-foot wingspan. And actually he had 4. Now these are warm climate birds.
Yeah, sure.
From the Amazon.
Yeah.
He had 4 that were every day, even winter around here, every day free flyers.
Wow.
4 of those 23 or whatever were everyday free flyers. They're the only ones that had an outside cage.
Okay.
He'd let them out of that cage in the morning, and you wouldn't see. You'd see cardinals, blue jays, some blackbirds, the small blackbirds, sparrows. But you won't see crows. Matter of fact, Dad had to take what was it? Maybe a chicken hawk or a turkey vulture to the vet because they attacked it when they were going to kill it.
Wow.
We've watched them run off like foxes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Stray dogs. Oh, yeah, they'd run a stray dog out of there. Huh, no.
There you go.
Matter of fact, with the IHRA stuff, Dad and Ricky actually traded cars for one run. They actually traded cars because back in those days with IHRA, you could go and make a test run, and in between qualifying runs. I mean, it was awesome because you get one.
Okay.
You'd have one qualifying run on Friday, 3 on Saturday. So you could go out there on Friday and make 2 or 3 runs, run your qualifying run, come out on Saturday, make your one run, come back, make another test run. Because back then you had 2-3 hours in between qualifying runs, and they switched cars. And this was back when Dad was way faster than everybody. And Ricky went first in Dad's car. Got back to the trailer and got out. Dad's like, well, what'd you think? He said, I want to use that car this weekend. Something to that effect. And then Dad took Ricky's car and got back to Ricky's trailer. And Ricky said, what do you think? He said, well, when I put it into high gear, I thought it broke. Oh, my God. So he said, yeah. What caused Bob's slump in 76 and 77? 76, he didn't run a lot of NHRA that year. He won the IHRA World Championship that year.
And 77 was a Monza, I think.
No, 76. 76 was the Monza at Indy, one race.
Yeah. Then did Liger filter buy that?
Yes.
Okay.
John Linger bought it.
Yep.
And he ended up having a pretty good career with that in comp.
Sure.
77, I don't remember that year. What were we doing in 77?
It was.
Let me just see here. Let me revert to my notes here. 77, we won the Cajun Nationals.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
We won the Grand Nationals, the Fall Nationals, and the World Finals. So I think we won the championship that year. So 77. 77, 78, 79, and 80. Yeah, we won 77. But 76, Dad he was kind of just over the weight break deal. So he went to IHRA. And then the Monza thing, that was done. He had that car a total of 8 days from start to doing a motor, actually 2 motors, and running the U.S. Nationals in 8. I mean, that was all 8 days. That whole span was 8 days. And he did that on a bet.
Wait a minute. What are you saying? 8 days to do what now?
He built the Monza.
Yeah.
Built 2 motors.
Sure.
And then tried to qualify in Indy.
Wow.
And that whole period was like 8 days, 8 or 9 days. And he did that on a bet. And it was number 17 qualifier by 1/1000th.
I heard him in an interview say that he got some bad advice on it, building a Chevy or something.
Yes, yes, he did. But hey, you live and you learn.
That's it. John, again, I want to thank you guys for contributing to
Yes,
this.
thanks, John.
It's helping us both out. Thank you.
Ooh,
Paris.
Virginia. That's a good state. I like Virginia.
I do too. I lived there before, Colonial Heights, back as a
Oh,
kid.
yeah.
Dug up a cannonball when I was like 6 years old. I still got it. Yeah. I don't know where the hell it is, but.
And you still have it. Wow.
Yeah, sitting around here somewhere.
Rick Riggs. No, we did not, sir.
Now, I think we got to clarify this because I'm going to tell you, this is where Greg's right, because I'm pretty sure your dad lost the 77 Pro Stock Championship because when he went in with a Fairmount in 78, he was number 2.
Okay, then yeah.
Yep.
But we did win, I think, four races that year.
Yep.
But okay, yeah.
But 76 wasn't a good year for him. I guess.
I don't remember who won 76.
Somebody might click in here. I like this.
Nice.
Yeah, you send us a picture of them, we can get them remade. We got some plans on some merchandise, hats and stuff. It's going to be shirts. It's going to be killer. Yeah, I think you're right. It was Dino Don's.
Yeah, it was. I forgot about that because the 78 Fairmont did have the number 2 on it.
Yep. And then if you watch the 1980, that had the number 1 as he came from Chrysler back to the 1980 Fairmont. So, yeah, this is funny. We'll get him on here. We'll talk about the rivalry between him and Bob, you know.
Hey, he was a good hard-nosed driver. I'm telling you what,
Here's what. So it was Chevy in 76 is what he's saying off the top of his head. So I don't know who won. 76 was Grumpy. Or Shepard, I don't think.
No, it wasn't Shepard.
Yeah.
Shepard won 4 straight, 81, 82, 83, and 84.
Yep. And then after that, your dad won like 10 in a row or something, didn't he?
5.
5. Okay, yep. It's good to have you here. You know all the facts. Well, because you know what? There's so much hearsay and everything, you know, and I don't want to go back to Yellow Bullet, but there's a forum there that's crazy. But there's so much different facts about this nitrous. I mean, that's why we wanted to talk about it. You did it. You're there. We're telling you how it is. We're not making up anything. All the stuff you read in the media is all, don't believe it. You're hearing it right here. So I appreciate you, Rusty, for coming on here and telling these guys the truth and giving an insight into your life, the private life of the Gliddens that no one talks about, you know? No one knows but you.
Like I said, to me, like I said last week, to me, or the other day, to me, it was just a normal life. I mean, I still went to school.
Yeah.
I still played my sports, basketball and track. Then went to the races when I wasn't in school. And then when I got out of school, I was racing all the time. So for me, it was just a normal life. But for a lot of people, it was not. So, I mean, it's just like now, you know, I mean, even though I'm not doing anything now, but before, you know, when I was welding and fabricating, to me, that's just a normal life. I mean, because that's one thing my dad did instill in me was a good work ethic. And, I mean, granted, it took a number 6 steel braided line to get the point, but I got it. So, and I like I said, I only have him to thank. I mean, him and my mom. I mean, they were only hard on me because that's what I needed. I mean, that's the stuff you can't do nowadays.
Yeah, but you know what? My dad was the same way. My dad told you to do something one time, and that was it. After that, it was corporal punishment or you got the whackaroo. There wasn't any messing around. My dad was in 3 wars. He didn't play. He told you how it was because if you didn't listen, you could die. I mean, that's how he was. So when he wanted something done, he wanted it done. And for that, maybe like your dad, I mean, he taught me everything about guns, about fires, gardens, livestock, farming, everything to survive. He was a survival. So your dad was the same way. His survival mechanism was racing. If he didn't win and he didn't have that, he had nothing. I mean, not saying he didn't have a job at Martin Ford, whatever, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Well, one thing a lot of people don't know is before my dad even got into all the racing and all that stuff, he raised rabbits.
Yellow Bullet rules. I did put a post on there today, and I don't know your name, fish stick I call you. You know, I'm not gonna, it's a derogatory remark how he goes by on Yellow Bullet. But he knows, I don't know how he pulls this stuff up. He pulls up different clips and all these facts about Ford and Chevy, and it's just amazing to see them all. But I wrote on a post today why I'm doing this channel, why I'm trying to get you back in the seat, why I want to keep moving with this and progress to keep this alive, because this culture is going down, man. It's not going to be like it was, and we don't have a lot of time, so go ahead. Thanks, BRM.
Cat's Garage.
Let's see. Okay. $500,000 right off the get-go, I can tell you that.
Well, it's different if you've got everything and are already going. That's one thing. So I don't really remember what it cost per year, because that was something my brother and I were never involved in, was the financial side of that part that early into it. But I know when Dad retired, it was close to $600,000-700,000 a year.
Now, is that the whole package? Meaning that includes your salary, or however you got paid, the cars, the parts, the transportation, the gas, everything.
Yes.
$800,000.
Yep.
Okay. Now put it in today's. Now you might as well triple that almost in today's technology.
That depends.
Okay.
That depends. I was offered a ride last year or the year before that I had, which this is the way it's done with most of them nowadays, unless you own the operation.
Sure.
Or whatever. I was told for $750,000 I could be driving a pro stock car. Granted, it'd be a bow tie, which, here again, I don't, the bow tie, Mopar. I mean, granted, I'm Ford Blue, but when I'm in the seat, it's 1,000,000% wholehearted in it, and it's whoever's in the other lane is, I'm getting there first, not you. So, but then all that does is pay for the ride. That doesn't pay me.
Right.
So, I know that's what some of the people are paying, but they bring sponsors. So, if you can find the money, that's just been my big problem, is I've never found a sponsor. Jim Toledo, Sears Point. Matter of fact, Sears Point, that's where I got my first elimination round win.
Nice.
Beat Jim Yates first round in, what was it? I think it was 92. I believe it was 92. And then red lighted against Jerry Ekman second round.
Wow. Thanks, Jim Toledo.
Yes, Jim, thank you.
Thanks, Fish Stick.
Why do you call him Fish Stick?
he goes by F Stick on his
okay. Fish Stick. Okay, got it.
They bust people's butts there a lot and call people different names. So I'm not a derogatory man. I don't, I'm just not that way. So Fish Stick sounded pretty good, so that's what I call it.
Okay.
He had some name for me, Culture Tim or something. I don't know.
And then that, what is it? MT Ram 4. Oh, hang on, let's go to that. What's this one say?
You know what? I always see that, and it's the same thing. Butthurt boys, Chevy boys, or Ford boys. I don't go for all that stuff. You know what I mean? You are who you are. You make your own destiny. You make your own engine. What you choose is up to you. I don't go through. I don't know what I think he's pointing to is where Ford dumped on your dad, maybe. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if that's what he's trying to get.
I don't know. I just know that Ford really did do much R&D with their 500-inch stuff, because they were back in the late 80s, early 90s. They were too concerned about NASCAR. That was their big NASCAR and whatever one of those other racing series they were in, IRL or whatever. But and then what was it? MT Ram has said something earlier.
Let me get up here and see.
about my life, my normal life.
Such
Yeah,
a blessing.
it was. I mean, after being out in the normal world now for, almost 20 years, out of racing except for the '05 and four or five races of '06. Yes, it was a blessing. And in that, I mean, I got to meet so many great people, and a lot of those people are the fans. I got to do a lot of things, got to be part of a Make-A-Wish Foundation in 1986. We had a kid that was his dream to be a team member on my dad's team, and Make-A-Wish called, and we made that happen. Got to do Alachua County, Florida Boys Ranch, where we spent the day with them. Got them sitting in the car, started it up, and we just spent the day there playing basketball, and I think we even fished, and just they just, I mean, all kind of stuff. I mean, just the people that I got to meet, and that I've become friends with. I mean, I still have kids. Well, in '05, the Alachua County Boys Ranch thing was in '87, and in '05, I had, I'm going to guess, 4 or 5 races where I had guys, 10 years younger than me, 10 years younger than me, come up and say, "Hey, do you remember 1987, the Alachua County Boys Ranch?" I go, "Yeah, I do." And he goes, "Well, I was in such and," because they had 3 houses. Mm-hmm. They had a set of parents for each house, but the parents did nothing but supervise. The kids did all the laundry, all the cooking, all the cleaning. And they split us up into groups, because there was Billy and Shannon, or Billy and actually Melissa at the time, my first wife and I, and then our truck driver. So Billy and Melissa went to one house, my wife and I went to another house, and our truck driver went to the other house, and they cooked us lunch and dinner that day. I mean, we were there till late that evening, and they remember that. I mean, it's just, we had one kid come. He wasn't a kid; he's older than me, but he was young for then. Come to our trailer at Sonoma, who, through a bad domestic deal situation, his dad killed his mother and set him on fire when he was 2 or 3 years old. And he stood back. I mean, he was just a Glidden fan, and he ended up being in our pit area all weekend. And then he'd come every year we were there. He'd come back every year. And I mean, just meeting people like that and hearing their stories, and then helping, like Mike Bellamy was the kid's name. That was the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Sure.
Great family. He ended up living, I think, 2 or 3 years after that. But at the time, he was only given 6 months. But Dad gave him the medallion that he got and the actual trophy from the race at the Denver race, '86, because that was the turning point for us in the '86 season, was Denver. We went into Denver, qualified number 1, won the race, beat Warren in the finals, and then we went on and won, I think, most of the races left that season, and won the championship. Going into Denver, we were like, I think, 6th or 7th in points, and we were just hoping to win another race that year, and ended up winning the championship. And to be a part of that deal, we went to Charlotte for the Winston Invitational in Rockingham, North Carolina. We were asked to come to a children's hospital in Charlotte. We went there, and this one kid's dad was, I think, in prison, and his mom was dead, and he was living with his aunt and uncle, and he was depressed because he didn't have either one of his parents, and he gained a lot of weight that he got put in the hospital because his bones couldn't hold his weight up.
Sure.
But he was a race fan. And when Dad walked into that room in his uniform, the kid's eyes lit up. And I'm going to tell you what, Dad told him, they said he had to lose at least 100 pounds to be able to walk for a weekend. Dad told him, you lose 100 pounds between now and next year's race. We'll get you and your aunt and uncle and all your cousins to come to the race, and you can be an honorary crew member. And the kid lost over 150 pounds. He went from like 400 and some pounds down to like, I think he lost close to 200 pounds in a year. And he was right at 200 pounds, came out to the race, and we got him his own uniform shirt. And, I mean, it was awesome. And then, what was it? Motorcraft did a deal. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Motorcraft did a deal where it was win a pass with Bob Glidden. And it was at an NHRA race, so it was the mountain motor. And this lady, this girl that won it, she was just from the backwoods of North Carolina, I believe. She was just a little hill jack. I mean, her and her husband were great, and she won the deal. Her name was drawn, and they had the show car. And Dad tried to do he couldn't even do. The show car would barely run. He couldn't even do a water burnout in it. So he backs it up, takes it to our trailer, and we actually took the passenger seat out of that show car and put it in our actual NHRA Pro Stock car, 632 cubic inches. And 5-point safety harness in it and everything. And the tech department cleared it. Dad went out with her in it. And I'll never forget this. This is one of the best stories. He did a water burnout. He backed up. She had her arms crossed like this up against her helmet because there was nothing for her to hold on to.
Sure.
And Dad rolled up right before he put the top light on. He told her, he said, I'm going to look over at you and you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And she gave him the thumbs up. So he said, he went like this with his hand. So she held on tight, put her head back. And he goes up and he stages it just like, actually, I think Billy was in the other lane with his foot staging like he was running somebody. And then when all four stage lights came on, the tree came on, and Dad put, had it against the lemon. He let the clutch out, and he went through first, second, third, and fourth, and run it to just past the 8th mile and let off. And because he wasn't going to make a full run with her.
Sure.
But he gets back to the trailer, and we get her out of the car, and she takes her helmet off, and Dad says, well, what do you think? She said, give me a beer, and let's do it again. That was awesome.
So I wanted to give a shout out here for John Elliott. Now this is a subscriber I've been talking to here or there, but this is how this channel's going. He lives in a small town. All of his friends and neighbors come to their porch, and right now they're sitting here watching this. You guys are sitting on the porch. They all got their beer open, and this is like their Friday night watching TV, I guess. I don't know. But they're really into it, and they wanted me to give him a shout out, so I'm doing it for you guys. John Elliott and his family.
John Elliott, friends and family.
I offered him. I got a short block Cleveland that's been sitting here for 34 years. So I said, if you get down here, I'll let you use it, take it. And you and your dad can build a motor. You only get one time on this earth, so you want to get what you want to do and get it done.
That's right.
So that's a shout out for you. Let's see what else we got. Great job. Let's see. We're going down the list.
Ooh, but that thing's a fun ride.
Yeah. I would like a newer Mustang. I thought about getting like a 2006 or 7 and something and just having a, 1250 car you drive around, just have fun.
I want a GT. I want one of the GTs. The ones that like the Ferraris.
Okay. Yep.
But only I want a twin turbo it.
Like the GT40.
GT40, yeah.
GT40. Red one or blue, yeah. I saw one of those crash once. It was crazy. That's like, a couple $100,000 or $150,000.
Yeah.
That's appreciated. Everyone on here is just your family has influenced so many people over the years. It's amazing.
Well, it's people like everybody's putting all these questions and comments up is what made it great.
Indeed. It's like, I don't know, like we've talked about the nitrous. Did we talk about everything? To me, like you, I can talk for 2 hours without stopping, 3 hours. So there's plenty to talk about. There's plenty. So I don't think
I can go into other stories like, everybody knows Tony Christian, great guy.
he's got an attitude, man. You know him from back in the days with his
Oh my God, he was
streetcar stuff. It's 57 Chevy.
We called him Motor Mouth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll never forget. We were in Louisiana, and he used to. Most of the time he would have his competitor beat before they even got in the car, and he tried to start in on Dad, and Dad just kind of laughed at him and walked away. So Billy and I started in on him. And Billy ended up sitting in his car, and just all he did was push the clutch pedal in. And he said, "Hey, Rusty, come over here, feel this clutch pedal." So I reached down with my hand, I pushed, I said, "Oh, yeah, you're right." And Tony goes, "What's that?" And Billy said, "Oh, you're going to red light." And I said, "Yeah, you're going to red light. You don't have enough air gap here." "Oh, I ain't going to red light." What did he do? He red lit. That's right. If you remember, I think it was 88 when he won Brainerd. He beat Warren in the semis on a hole shot, and then beat my dad in the finals on a hole shot. And when in his interview after, he says, because remember the Ford commercial used to be, "Have you driven a Ford lately?" He said, "Have you thumped a Ford lately?" Yeah, oh, Tony, he's a good guy.
This is our Friday night TV. See what I tell you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John and family.
I
It's hard to believe the people would ever want to talk to me or listen to me talk. And thanks, Elmer, for giving me the suggestions on the merchandise. We're going to work on that. It's going to be awesome. So I appreciate the help, guys. It's just, like everybody else, we're all busy, and I just don't. If there's so many things I have to do, I have to write them down in books to try to remember everything. And so it's coming. One guy gave me a hard time a short time ago, a few hours ago, we'll say, saying how, I'd talk about it and drop all these names, but nothing ever comes of it. Things happen. They just take time. I do it at DragBoss speed. So I'm glad that you're here, Rusty, and sharing it with me. So it's cool.
That one right there, that was actually my brother, Greg. And he actually still has that Fox body.
Now the black one?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. That's the one he's doing most of his tire testing with Mickey.
Yep. I got a picture of that motor, and I'll tell you, that thing isn't, you think it's going to be pristine and clean. That thing looks like it's been pulled out and yanked around, wires around. I mean, it's just amazing. I'll have to put a picture up. And it's impressive how fast that car is, man.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yep. I knew somebody would remember that. Oh, I remember it. Oh, I'm telling you what, Tony and the guys that used to sponsor him, I mean, they're like Roy and all of his people. They're just really good people. Rhea Morrison, Bruce Allen, all of them.
Sure.
Kenny Koreski, Warren Johnson, Arlene Johnson, Frank Iaconio. I could just go down the list. They're just all really, really great people. Greg Anderson, Jason Line. I love giving them a hard time when I see them. I always go over and razz them a little bit. Jaggy, matter of fact, Jaggy, I'll never forget this either. He wanted a Motorcraft hat in 2018. And he wore that Motorcraft hat all weekend at the U.S. Nationals, driving his yellow and black. He'd take it off, put it in his car. When he got out the other end, he'd put it on. They're just all really good people. There's no the only time the racers really didn't like each other is when they were sitting in the car and both state lights were on. And then it was cutthroat.
Thank you, Hunter.
Yes, thank you, Hunter.
Rusty, you ever see these?
Oh my God. Yes, yeah.
Got a couple of them. I had a bunch. I sold a few of them. They were like your team book that had your performance parts in it. The Glidden, Performance Club or whatever it was. You know what I'm talking about? Team Glidden and sold parts.
Well,
Handbook.
Glidden Performance Products.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Let's see, what else is this? I'm in a small town in Montana, so I love this. Nice.
Nice countryside there.
Now, see, we just got some kind of block on here by this person. We got to get rid of this person. Bam. See, you get these, like, I've just noticed, like, these, I don't know.
It's the Warlock.
Yeah. Let's see, is that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Garage, yes, that was Billy Spock's body Mustang, yes. Oh yeah, NMCA, NMRA, yeah, he used to eat him alive in that car in those classes. Oh boy, they did not like him at all.
Thanks, Dean. He's a truck driver. He drives like crazy hours and never really got to see this live. So he's here, so that's good. He's from Denver too, so thank you. Spamming robots, somebody said. See, I don't know anything about this stuff.
I don't either.
This is all new media for me to try to figure it out. I'm telling you, when we didn't have a picture and I'm talking to you and it's all black on that side, I was like, this is unbelievable. Let's see, here's it. So this is it. Banned the same troll on Uncle Tony's garage last weekend. So John, you talked to Uncle Tony. Tell him to be on DragBoss Garage. It'd be an awesome, awesome episode.
Lunchtime. You didn't invite me to lunch, Sveno. What's up?
East Coast of Australia. So it's what? 12 noon there.
Yeah.
Nice. I remember that. Spiro Pappas car.
Yeah.
That Camaro, 69 Camaro, that was bad. I mean, that's when the fastest streetcar stuff, that's 95. Yeah, that's when Pro 50, that's when all the 50 was coming out, the Nitrous. I grew up, I was really getting into it at that time. So how long have we been talking? We're at 2 hours now. And it's like, wow. Yeah. Here's what he says. I'll do it. I'm sure he'll be in. He and I are starting a podcast soon. So cool. We're going to get a lot of people here. What do you think? Do we keep going? You got 158 people that are listening to us. So I say we do keep going. We see the numbers start dropping for a few minutes, and then we'll be done. We got plenty of time to do more interviews. What's your schedule like, Rusty?
I'm free.
Me too. But it's like 10 o'clock at night. I know my wife's in there. Kids are probably in bed. So I kind of missed that one tonight. But they understand, and I appreciate them.
Do you have any more questions?
Let me see what he said. Tim, please email me, and I'll get you guys in touch. I don't have your email. Mine's on my website, on my DragBoss Garage. Under About, there's an email address. We'll hook up somehow. Listen to this. This is better than anything on TV. Nice.
You're better than anything on TV.
Poor guy.
You guys don't know him very well.
I didn't really follow Billy as much as I didn't know what he ran there. Let's see. There it is right there. Okay. Let's see what John says. Thank you, John. I got to take a picture of that message because otherwise I won't be I won't remember that damn address. Sorry, guys. It's a little awkward, but I'm new at this. You got to give me a break.
Hunter Walker. Oh boy, that's a good one. Because that was 84, no, 85, 86, 80. No, that was 84, 80. Yeah, 84, 85, 86. And that was a 84 Thunderbird, 85 Thunderbird, 86 Thunderbird. As a matter of fact, the 86 one is, I just had a guy hit me up today, said a friend of his from, I think, the state of Georgia just bought the car that Jerry Haas built in 7 or 8 days to replace the crash car from Atlanta. But it's got an 87 or 88 front end on it, which he's going to put it back to normal. So he's going to have to find an 86 front end for it.
I can answer this one. I don't know if you know him, Rusty. Fred?
Yes. Yep.
He just messaged me. I did a whole video on the Cleveland oiling system, how to improve it and grind it and smooth it out, blah, blah, blah. And he's putting together Cleveland. He just got it in the car the other day. Great guy. He's got a Fox body with a Cleveland in it. So, yeah, Scott, I know him. Thanks, Fred.
Good people.
What's this say? I'm turning in. Got a 5-hour drive to Union Grove. All right, brother. I'm glad that you took time out of your night to spend with us here.
Oh, Harry Glass. Yep.
Yep. Chief sponsored Thunderbird. That's the one with the 7-Eleven, right?
Yes.
Now, I got a picture. I don't know if he sold that to Larry Morgan, but you know, him and Larry were buddies, and I knew somebody that knew Larry, and I got a lot of the inside stories. But I got a picture of that car, and I think it's on the street with Morgan driving it, pulling the wheels off the ground. Yeah. It could have been at a track, but I got a picture. I'll put it up. I'll send it to you.
Okay. But yeah, that was actually the Southland Corporation, and it was 3 companies that teamed up. It was Cheap Auto Parts, Citgo, and 7-Eleven. No, Dad never used a practice tray.
I love this. Cable TV's terrible.
Thanks, John.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It's true. You're hearing the real story. There's no fluff. There's no nothing. We're just having a good time. Bench racing, really.
Yep.
What's that say? Anyone Bob Mullen Company? I don't know what that is. But you're right. 100 channels of nothing.
Teresa, turn my AC on.
I know it's hot, man. I got the AC on in the garage. If you ever have a garage, get AC in it. Put a widow, you know. Just can't be in it in the summer. Let's see what else. What's that?
We worked in that all summer, so that doesn't bother me.
Telling you, before I went into medicine, I was a mechanic. So, you know, that's how I got into cars. You know, as a little kid, I was telling them about 75 and 76 is when I was just getting into cars. Guy had a Mustang, a Hemi down the street, a Chevy Corvette with an LT1 of 70, you know. So I was getting into all that stuff. And working as a mechanic, I worked in a garage at one time. We didn't even have a bathroom. We had an outhouse. Okay. I worked there 8 years. And this is in the 80s when I just started to go to school. And we'd be doing oil changes in the middle of winter outside at 20-degree weather, you know, underneath the truck with a Carhartt on. I mean, I just said to myself, I'm never going to work in a garage again. I have a garage without heat or air conditioning. So, you know,
Won't blame you.
we got to get you here for a real live episode at my house, DragBoss Garage, you know?
No problem.
And I'm thinking about making a road trip to Tony Bischoff's. Bischoff Engine Service. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I kind of know where they're at. They're somewhere around Lawrenceburg.
Okay. So I got a whole bunch of these parts I want to take there. I'd rather do a road trip than try to mail this stuff. One, it's rare. Two, the cost of shipping is crazy. It's only about 3 hours from here. I could probably I could probably pick you up, you know, however you get there. But let's see. Here's another one. I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, that was just Schmidt. Dad was up there kind of doing work at his shop, and Schmidt put him in the car. So I mean, it was just they made shirts and everything. I think I've got one of those shirts somewhere around here. I do. Oh wow.
Well, 96 R100 is what you said. You used to.
That was NHRA, IHRA.
Oh yeah, this is the mountain motor stuff.
He never turned the mountain motor stuff hard at all because he didn't want to have to work on it. When we get back from IHRA race, he just came out and shoved it over up against the wall, and we didn't touch it again until actually I would compression check and leak all the cylinders, and if it was good, we didn't mess with it. But the big engine stuff back then was around 12, back in this 11 or 1200, back in the middle 80s or so. But here again, we were only using 632 cubic inches, and we were running against, I think, 700 or 725 cubic inch stuff.
Yeah.
And but I mean, he only turned our 632s, I think, barely 8,000, 81, 8,200. And I mean, this stuff just lasted forever. Every 2 years, we'd put rods and pistons in them, whether they needed it or not.
Every 2 years.
Yep. And then we quit running them when they went to the split where you could run 500 inch or mountain motor, but the mountain motors had to run so much more weight. We would use that as test sessions for our 500 inch stuff.
Now look at this. Thanks, WSS Racing. I'm glad you're here. It's good stuff.
Look like a dirt track car in the trailer.
The Doctors of Pro Racing. There we are.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, but, yes, but my bank account isn't. But yeah, I like that class. I would run one, but it would take, a small sponsorship or somebody that's got the money to buy a car and put somebody in it. But yeah, I like that class very much. The only thing I don't like about that class is they've kind of gone back to the 70s to early 80s. They're starting to punish the fast cars, which is the Fords. And that's why a lot of your Ford teams have dropped out from running the NHRA series of the factory stock showdown. Like the Skillmans, I don't think they run it anymore because they're tired of getting restricted. That's one thing that Ford always did. That's why our 500-inch stuff fell so far behind so quick, is because they wouldn't put any R&D work towards the 500-inch stuff. They kept it towards the small block stuff. That's why, as you see today, if they took the restrictions off the Fords are a whole lot quicker and faster than the GMs and Chryslers. And that's just from Ford knows what they're doing. I mean, a lot of people don't know that Ford is the first one that innovated fuel injection. And I mean, they actually tried to deal with us, but we were told before we even brought it to the racetrack, we fuel injected through carburetors with a fuel pump that ran off of the crank trigger like an oil pump. and it was the 4.2 barrels were good, but no, this was a lot better, and we never even got to leave the shop with that. I mean, we had to get clearance to run it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that was God, what year was that? That was
Now, I'm almost positive. This is 76. In 76, he had a couple of cars. He had a Pinto. You know, he was still Glidden and Allen, if I'm not mistaken.
yes.
So that's when he had the Pinto, and then he got the Mustang and raced that in 70. I'm almost positive. I can clarify that and get back to you on that, Daniel. But he had like 3 cars, I want to say, during that year. Maybe that's why he didn't win or do as good as he could have. But that Glidden Allen car, actually, I think they turned that into something. I almost thought it was Fairmont, but I'm not positive that they put a body on it. I've seen it before. I got pictures of it.
I know it was a good car.
Now who was Allen? That was the painter at Ed Martin, right? Bob Allen?
Yes.
He was a painter.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you ever hear that? That's Frank Zappa song, going to Montana to grow some dental floss. So. Hey, you never know. You know, we're going to plan it out. We're going to hook up and do a live show here, so something that'll happen. Now, here's an interesting one. Don't know anything about that one.
Yeah, they are two really Derek's. I've known Derek for probably 40 or 45 years, and he graduated I think the same year as my brother, because him and my brother were good friends. And Kim was a year behind me in high school, and yeah, they are. Oh my God, Derek's like a brother to me. I mean, he's just Kim. Kim's like a sister too, but we all. Well, I torment them, and she kind of torments him. So we just have a good time together. I mean, I love going out and doing things with them. They're just family. I mean, point blank, plain and simple, family. I mean, I've actually stayed growing up when my parents were out of town. My brother and I had actually stayed with Derek and his mom and dad at a few times. And telling you, you talk about great people. I mean, they don't come any better.
My wife just texted me and said, "Are you wrapping up pretty soon?" I said, "I got to tell her yes." I mean, in theory, we could talk here all night, but I don't know how it works with bandwidth and all that, so we're not going to get involved in that. Let's see another question. Damn straight.
Yep.
So yeah, so let's finish it up, and
Okay.
then let's plan about the next time. What do you want to do? You want to talk again? You see something else? Let's see.
Cat's Garage. Actually,
I heard this story.
Billy has all of the Wallies at his house. So yes, they are.
He actually boxed them all up and sent them to the Peterson Museum in California to be displayed, and paid all the shipping and got them there. And then they said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to raffle these off to make money for the museum." And Bob said, "Oh, no, you're not. Pack them up and get them back here." And he sent them back, and that's where they are in Shannon's garage, Billy and Shannon's garage.
Yep.
That's what he said. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, so let's plan up. This way people can listen. We can plan another time. I doubt we're going to do it this weekend. We've had enough YouTube stuff, and now it's time to do some family stuff. So I'm going to try to not do a lot with the lives, because it just keeps going and going. And I'll let you answer this while I'm thinking of what to say.
No, we do not.
But I'm thinking maybe for me to do anything, it wouldn't be until next week.
That's fine.
Thursday or Friday. So maybe we'll figure it out, but we'll be able to do that. I'm glad that we got this technical difficulty figured out, because I'll tell you, I was starting to sweat bullets. So I'm glad everybody stopped by. You're into doing another episode, aren't you?
Yes.
All right. There's lots to talk about. So
All
I know
right.
people want to know about the Nitrous. Maybe we'll do just a short version and a recap on the next episode, and then we'll go into some more of what you're racing. See, I think what people don't understand, and I said this before, is that in 75, you were 7.
8.
It's hard. 8.
No, 7. You're right.
It's hard to remember that all the racing and all what he used for heads and all that kind of stuff when you're only 7. So your time is more in the 80s. Once you get towards the 80s and then your career, that's what we can go into now, because that'll be really cool to get into. So here's what we got. Well, our kind of our ending comments.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Neil.
Barracuda racer. So you know he's a Mopar guy there, right?
Nothing wrong with that.
I like this one. Thank you, Daniel.
Yes, thank you, Daniel.
I don't know what that thing is. It's cool.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Elmer.
Elmer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elmer.
He's an older guy. Tell him thanks, because he's a good guy.
Thanks, Elmer.
Well, we're going to feature that car on the channel once we get some video of it and some pictures, so that'll be cool. Let's see. Be here for the next one. All right, Hunter. Thanks, John.
Yes, thanks, John.
Sure.
Thanks, John.
Hope they never end.
Hey,
Who knows, man? We got a lot to talk about. We got cars to build and race. He's got to get racing, so we're going to work on that.
all right. You guys got questions. I got answers.
And we got time. It's just not when it's not all the time. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom's 50. Appreciate it. It's hard to end, because everyone's coming in and talking, and I like that. But let's end it.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So I'll end it, and then I'll got to do some work on the YouTube on the backside of this so that we can get it so they can watch it and stuff, and everything will be golden.
Okay.
So, guys, comment on this video, because it's still going to be able to comment after the fact, after we're done. And I'll try to go back and look through comments. I'll tell you, for one guy, I go through every comment I get, and I give an answer as best I can. It takes a lot of time, but I try to do it so everyone knows, that this is a good channel. I want it to grow, be down to earth, none of this crazy stuff, So that's it.
Got one. What's to talk about the Schumacher deal in the future one. So
Let me see here. Oh yeah.
just bring it on to the next one, Scott.
I'll tell you, and I watched something on Schumacher. That guy owned an electric business, amazing brain, full of the cake. There's no doubt about that. 6 race teams or whatever. But that guy, if you watch his competition engineering biography, it's pretty interesting.
Yes, it is. Yeah, he is. He's a super nice guy. Great family.
And that's another thing. I don't know how to. I'm trying to market this, and we're going to get membership and all that. So give me ideas if you got it. But yeah, I appreciate it. Hit the like and subscribe. It's all it takes is one push of the button. Boom, you subscribe. You're in there, man. You don't have to watch every video. But I appreciate you guys hooking me up. Let's end it right now. I'm going to end the broadcast.
All righty.
It's going to say, do you want to end?